Why I just like kind of doing the live thing too, because then it's automatically goes to YouTube. So if anything fails,
the last moment till you fall asleep.
And there's my volume. Oh, la, 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 la.
So we're going
Grant,
live.
I was telling Daryl how we call ourselves the Orbists now.
Orbis, yeah.
So
Studying
that-
orbology.
Orbology, that's it.
Orbology, the study of orbology. We get masters and PhDs and
Okay.
Yeah, man, 11 years. I was called to Sedona 11 years ago on Saturday, the 5th, and for 3 weeks.
Wow.
I'm like, holy moly. And the book is done. So literally 11 years ago, coming here, and 11 years later, you know, like,
yeah,
here it is. I'm like,
different
this
world.
is different world. Very, so different.
Okay, we're going live. It says it's preparing.
Now being live streamed. We got it.
I think it's going.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah. They're watching you now.
Oh,
Now being live streamed. We got it.
It's on.
perfect. Hello, everybody. Where'd Chase go?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, here comes
They're watching
Chase.
you now.
I'll say, how do we
Now being live
open,
streamed.
Grant? You always
Got
confuse
it.
me when we're both hosting.
You got to turn your sound. We're getting we're getting the YouTube come through.
Oh,
Where'd Chase go?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, here comes
They're watching
Chase.
you now.
I'll say, how
now there we don't have the echo. I got to let Chase back in. But good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good evening, wherever you're at in the world. See, I can mix it up, Grant, because it's not everybody's morning or afternoon.
There you go.
We're here as part 2 for our Orbist discussion, all about orbs, which Darrell Stokes is here and Chase. And for our part 1, we launched this big orb discussion, our orb G. That's what some of us orb G. And we also have some orgasmic stories going on. Well, so our first discussion got cut short because of some technical malfunctions. So tonight or today, we're going to start with our clip that ended our first transmission. So, and just to bring everybody back up to speed, I shared a clip from Jacques Vallée and one of his lectures to the Archive of the Impossible, or Rice University's Archive of the Impossible. And just to sort of set the tone here, let me screen share for a minute. I'm still new at this, so bear with me. To set the tone of our discussion today, we'll get right to this clip. And I will apologize for the technical malfunction of before. There might be another one when we're talking orbs. It's hard to tell. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Share?
Nothing's happening though.
And I know it's cycling through. I might have to jump to another way. I thought I saved it to my
desktop.
Yeah, but we'll go back through the steps.
Okay.
Sorry,
So
everybody. I saved it to my email. And see, this is why Grant or I need a producer.
There you go. That's right.
Who's Joe Rogan's producer? Maybe we could get him to work. Everybody can see my Yahoo login.
There you go.
Everybody close your eyes. Right? Or don't look at who's sending me emails. How about that?
900 emails. You're popular.
I have not checked it in a week. I'll apologize to anybody who's been trying to get a hold of me.
Jimmy Blachette is calling you there, I see.
Uh-oh. Jimmy's been giving me constant updates. You know, we're always cooking up something. Here's my other trick. I email myself all the time what I need.
Okay.
So here we go. We'll play this one.
Okay.
And then what was your tip for me last time, Grant? Make it full screen.
Message.
Yeah.
A familiar situation. The records collected by Whitley Strieber and also by Leslie Keane may have much to teach us about this kind of process of contact and transmission in the next few days. Running through all these experiences since ancient times, we observe versions of truth that challenge not only our understanding of the world, but the methods through which we approach its teachings and learn.
Here.
Contrary to what Carl said, to calm down and pointed out to me a possible
Let's start it
solution
from the beginning of him
in an
talking
ancient
about it.
manuscript found at the Vatican, which was incredibly difficult to translate because a later scribe had reused the parchment for other writing, and the language itself was very arcane. Fortunately, there was a gifted historian, actually he was a graduate student, of early Christianity, Brent Landau, brave enough to tackle the task of translation. He found that the Tractatus taught that the three kings did not need to follow a star or a comet, contrary to what Carl Sagan was thinking. The infant himself, a baby, within a luminous orb in the sky, had revealed to them that he was about to incarnate as the savior of the world. Once they were able to observe the orb, which you can think of as the ultimate UFO, the story says that they simply followed him to the place where he was actually born. The scene is beautifully rendered here. The 15th century preserved in New York at the cloisters. Whether the story relates to the Nativity or is a recycled narrative derived from the life of Mithra is debated by scholars. The Mithra interpretation is compelling, in line with what is known of the region where the kings originated and its own mystical traditions. In particular, Mithra was born on December 25, like Jesus at the winter solstice. As with UFOs, here is a familiar story we may have to push back into history by hundreds or by thousands of years. We deal with fundamental truths here, not anecdotes. In similar fashion, a few writers, such as Paul Misraki in France, himself a devout Catholic, have deconstructed the 1917 miracle of Fatima as a possible instance of extraterrestrial contact. When I visited him in Paris, Mr. Misraki told me that the Vatican, when he officially consulted the Vatican, neither challenged nor approved his interpretation, but left him free to speculate. Less well known is the fact that the miracle of Fatima had been preceded 2 years before, 1915, by repeated apparitions of a luminous orb before 4 shepherds, not the same shepherds, except for 8-year-old Lucia. In this important series of preliminary incidents, rarely detailed in the literature, the orb contained a young man, a figure of light.
Uh-oh. Chase, can you hear it?
May have much to teach us about this kind of process of contact and transmission in the next few days. Running through all these experiences since ancient times, we observe versions of truth that challenge not only our understanding of the world, but the methods through which we approach its teachings and learn its lessons. Now we can move faster. The second garment of Aletheia is historical truth. Wardrobe, a simple red, white, and blue outfit, and cue the marching hymn of the Republic. At the beginning of this presentation, we saw that for truth to be effective, we had to be able to recognize and comprehend her. Otherwise, all we have is a nice story. This is true about UFOs, but it's true in other contexts. And those are useful if only as thought experiments. Take the important question of the reality of unicorns.
Oh,
When
I'm going to pause that right there, because if we're going to have Mr. Valet talking unicorns, then
There you go.
I want to have some cryptid investigators and researchers on for that one.
There you go.
Find my full screen here now. So everybody, that was kind of shocking to me when I first heard him discussing that. And I sat there kind of, I think for days, kind of like, did he just retell the biblical story? And did he throw Sagan in on that? And
Wow.
so it did kind of launch this whole different perspective for me, just a little bit when it came to these orbs, you know, and I think they're so easily brushed off by certain people when orbists like us try to convey these things about seeing beings inside of them or faces, or when we talk about them being possible portals or a window. So of course, we can speculate till the mutilated cows come home,
Yeah.
which is what our job is, I think, you know, if these things appear to us or we're interacting with them somehow, I think it's part of our job to also discuss these things and maybe defend against the, oh, it's just dust, or, oh, it's just bugs, or, you know, something else explainable. So, and it's not that there isn't those things going on in some of these pictures and videos, but the ones that are sort of overwhelming, like Darrell, like you have, you get all the examples. You get the orb, you get the orb being, you'll see a bug, you'll see a lens flare at the same time. So you have almost everything to compare. And that's why I like doing these panel discussions too, because as I pointed out to you guys off camera, Chase is relatively new to exploring this, and you are about 11 years into exploring this yourself. So, and Grant and I are just caught in the middle.
So explain
Wow.
explain to people who we've got on here, so we know who's our Mr. Daryl Stokes, who's the most famous in Sedona for this kind of stuff.
You might be, and I'll correct you too, since I do it all the time. It's Darrell.
Is it Darrell?
It's Darrell.
Darrell, okay.
Darrell
Yeah.
Mr. Stokes,
Thank
the orb master. But no, Darrell, I think you are kind of a local celebrity because of how long you've been doing it, and you have been engaging with people like myself and Grant and Chase and sharing your story. And I love how you've kind of gone full devotee to this, you know, as not so many people do. And you've sort of traveled the world and documented orbs along the way. So that's really how I love describing you to people. You know, you've been to so many special places and been keen enough to also do this under the umbrella of being visited by these things or capturing these things on camera. And yeah, if you want to give a little bit of your story to Chase, Chase kind of found us online and he lives close to me here in Illinois. And I think he'd heard a couple of these discussions. And I send people to you and Tress Blair, who might join us here in a little while, along with our friend April Cotton Dick, who's an artist. But Tress has this very special group online, and I love sending people to her Facebook group, and I'll let her tell people about that when she joins. But Darrell, take it away. And Chase, feel free to jump in. I know you're having some technical difficulties, but I think we can hear you now.
It's literally 11 years coming up on Saturday on the 5th. I started having dreams and visions 11 years ago. You know, literally life was shifting. Dark night of the soul, full go. And when you ask the right questions, that's when you start to receive and get answers. You know, and it's like, why is this happening? You know, where do I belong? What are my gifts? And then that's when I was visited by 4 orbs, you know, which is like real right. But for me, whether it's in my mind's eye, they were there, you know, and they identified themselves, you know, when they said, do not be afraid. And I said, it's easy for you to say your orb, your glowing orb. And then they identify themselves as, you know, the Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel. I'm like, okay, I knew 3 of them. And Uriel was the one that said, Darrell, what do you want to know? And I said, the truth, without even, that's the first thing that popped out, the truth. Why are we here? What are the gifts? Why was I born to this family in Kentucky of all places? And that's when I started receiving the visions, you know, from there, August 2nd, 2011. And I kept seeing these, you know, formations, rock formations. I had no idea where it was at. I'm like, where is this? And I heard turn on the TV, you know. So when I turned on the TV, there was on the Travel Channel, they were talking about the vortexes of Sedona. And the places that I'd been seeing in my dreams was Bell Rock and Cathedral Rock. Okay, you know, so then I type in Sedona, and then vortex and all this stuff. I'm like, this place feels like home. And then I'm like, I need to go there right away. And it's like 3 weeks in November. 3 weeks in November. No matter how much I tried to book a flight to get here, it wouldn't open up until 3 weeks in November. So I find myself here November 5th through the 24th of 2011, having things happen to me that I cannot explain. And I'm like, every single day, something was happening to me. And I heard, get a camera. And I had a little bit tiny compact camera. I'm like, I have a camera. No, you need another camera. No, I'm good. And my camera literally disappeared the day before my trip. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had to go out and get another camera.
Wow.
And the camera ended up being like $105, 105. And I'm like, okay, 105. The person who I ended up meeting in Sedona, who took me on the Vortex tour, his name was Mark Griffin, who did Sedona Mystical Tours. And his address was 105, Mountain Shadow. Okay, here's the foreshadowing. I was staying at a place called Sky Ranch Lodge up at Airport Mesa, well known for its, its sightings up there. And I had a visitation from this being who I'm like, I looked over and there was a gentleman in a blue tank top, khaki pants, hiking boots, blue beanie, and he had these rings on. And I was like, who are you? And he pointed towards the overlook, and he's, he took me there and showing Sedona. I said, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, your bridge, your connector. So what do you mean? He said, it'll make sense to you in time. I did not know that gentleman, his name was Harold, and he had passed away a year before I even came to Sedona. And him and Mark had worked together in Sedona Mystical Tours, but he was connected to the Arcturians and the Palladians, unbeknownst to me. But from there, that literally started the interactions. I was comfortable with the angels. They're the ones who first appeared to me. But then, lo and behold, the Sasquatch, the
Wait, Darrell. I got to pause you for a second. So this Harold visited you in spirit?
Yeah.
And he was all in blue and
was
wearing rings, like a blue hat on, a blue shirt, like, because we were talking about blue with our theme of orbs. Like, are they bad or good or well, it was one of the blue ones that was orgasmic. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But so you got visited in spirit by Harold, all dressed in blue, and now it continues on.
When I described these rings to Mark, I'm like, it's crazy. I'm like, I left my jacket over there, and I said, dude, I left my jacket, but I had this crazy dream, and there was this dude, and I described him to a T, and he said, when you show back up to pick up your jacket, I'll show something to you. So when I arrived there, he brought out this orange silk bag, and then he opened it up, and there were the rings that I'd seen in my dreams. And I said, wait a minute, how does this even happen? And he said, you saw Harold. And I'm like, well, who's Harold? He said, Harold's my partner, who, he just passed away a year before you even came here. Why is he showing up to me then? And why am I able to, I described the ring that had like the little rubies around it. And he said, those are, he's like, they were like star rubies, around the ring. I'm like, there was a star ruby ring, a Merlin ring with lapis, and then a turquoise ring that was really prominent. But I saw those rings. And so he's like, wow, Harold's working with you. I'm like, but I didn't ask him to. And he said, but that means they're going to start visiting you. And sure enough, Harold said, you're going to be moving to Sedona. You're going to be in opposition, but I'm going to help and assist you to get here. And I said, that's crazy. Because I'm like, maybe in a year, 2 years from now. No, literally within, that was November. I was moved to Sedona by January 6th of 2012.
That's
after being there for 3 weeks.
Grant, I'm thinking of our friend Jimmy Blanchett when he talks about like this being drawn to Sedona to do his work and his research. And Darrell, I want to ask you, because not a lot of people really call Sedona a vortex or a portal, but they know of the vortex or the portal or that location there and its effects, I guess you could say. So do you think you talking with Harold, do you think that's an effect of this vortex? Like, because, he's talking about your future. He's telling you about, what you're going to do. And then it kind of happens. So, and I think Jimmy Blanchett sort of had the same experience. Like he had all these lead ups, like seeing a road sign with the numbers he was working on with his math equations, it's like the exit for Sedona and, all these synchronicities. So I wonder if it's the place or the people and the place.
It's both. Sedona is one of those spots that's on the ley line grids. The Sedona and Shasta are connected. Santa Fe and Roswell are connected. Serpent's Mound is connected. Coral Castle is connected. The Gulf Breeze, Florida is connected. Machu Picchu
Catalina Island.
Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch is connected.
Yeah.
We've been playing with Jimmy's grid and along with Gary Osborne. And it's like everybody sends them in sites and they check it with their math. And sure enough, Giza, it's like the entire plateau.
Darrell, I got a question for you. And you're talking about this, your entry and the synchronicities when you arrived in Sedona. I've never heard this before. You got a book coming out. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is this in the book that you're bringing out?
Yeah. There's the goosebumps. So the book was like a correlation of me saying, surrendering and saying, Spirit, please show me that you're real and that you exist. And I'm giving 10 years of my life to document it, so literally taking the camera and asking for signs and literally, people ask, well, how do you know? It's like, ask for a sign. If you're not sure, ask for a sign. If you want to know if they're around, ask for a sign. Your body gets them all the time. So I just continued over the past, literally from arriving here in November of 2011 to even, just last night, taking photos and having, all these different beings show up from the angelic realm, the elemental realm, the interdimensional realm, and, the cosmic realm. And they're all connected. They're like family, just like literally oh man, Kevin, we're all connected. We all have the same blood inside. Well, some of us do, some is different colors for others, red, blue, green, yellow, But you know, here we are, and these individuals, our ancestors were connected to them, you know, and they, I mean, think about it, the Dogon tribe, you know, the Chaco Canyon, the Anasazi, the Inca, the Maya, all these, they have this connection, you know, that Aboriginal, the star people, they were interacting with them, the ant people. They knew my dear friend, you know, Clifford, who recently passed, he would, you know, talk about it all the time, you know, how they would come and interact, you know, with the ancestors and would leave this information. And now here we are starting to remember, you know, or we're seeing like the monuments or whatnot in ancient places. Uh, and I just was called to document it. And as I said, you're a bridge and connector. So the photos are like activators, if you will. If you want to be able to connect with angelic realm or the lights and the rays, you're able to connect with that frequency, or to be able to connect with you know, the fae, or the you know, pixies, leprechauns, gnomes, or you know, our you know, the star beings, you know, the brethren that interact with us, the Arcturians, Palladians, you know, and the others. So I've just literally taken pictures of the past decade in various places, Shasta, Sedona, and being called there and being 100% skeptic, because I'm like, all brand new to me. Literally, like, I surrendered to come here when I was called, you're crazy, you're for even doing it. No, I was called crazy before I even came, you know, left Kentucky, you know, hearing things and seeing things. I was like, whoa, that's not good. In Bible Belt, you're hearing things and seeing things, but I had my whole life. And it's like, you know, then start doing research, the ancestors, you know, the grandfather, he was a, you know, full-scale minister, so he had a connection with spirit. Grandmother was she was Eastern Cherokee, you know, so it was already there before I even understood it. And the veil is thin, you know, in Scorpio in October, and I'm born in November, so Scorpio season, there is no veil, you know. So boy, they come through strongly. And they called me to Shasta, they called me to here to Sedona, and you know, literally they showed me the place, the portal where they're like, you're going to you'll be walking back by yourself in Shasta. No way. But I took a picture of the cabin I kept seeing in my dreams. Well, I found it in Shasta, you know, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So Horseshoe Camp, you know, there's a portal right there by Horseshoe Camp, up there. And to be able to help people know that the veil is thin, and the realms are multi-dimensions, you know, we're multi-dimensional beings. So whatever frequency you're resonating is, you know, frequency that you're able to receive the communication from, you
Let
know.
me pause you right there real quick, because you're talking about sending and receiving, and we have talked about intent a lot.
Yeah,
And Chase and I even discussed sort of these contact modalities about how you can raise your vibration. So can you share with us, I mean, do you get yourself in the mood as you're getting called to these places, or when you know you're going to go out and shoot? Or is it like that compulsion where you're like, I have to go out, I'm being summoned to come outside and shoot? Or I know some of us are more, I hate saying the word gifted, but more attuned or can tune in quicker, and others of us have, you know, full-blown meditative state, have to, like, you know, work into the raising the vibration,
yeah.
you know. Tell us
It,
a little bit about your process.
it's unique for everyone. I I feel like I'm a sort of an anomaly. You know, because literally there's like everything, you're not supposed to be able to do that or do it this way, and I'm out the box with that. You know, the channeling or the mediumship, or it just it's as natural as breathing. Um, I'm apparently the laughter or the joy that comes from within. Laughter and joy is the highest vibrational frequency, and for whatever reason, it's a blessing that I've been blessed with, because it's that natural innocent wonder of a child, even, you know, almost like the Toys R Us song, you know, and it's been with me for as long as I can remember. And it's like when I received my Reiki attunement and I saw this matri or Hayoti, the laughing Buddha, you know, showed up. I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I am you and you are me.
There you go.
I did not understand that, but that they're such a high frequency that, you know, to be able to interact with them, that's where you really need to be 24/7. Am I always happy, and joyful? Not all the time, my goodness, I'm a Scorpio, but abnormally, that, I guess that's the manic depressive, you know, I'm manic, you know, 99% of the time, you know, and usually 1% not so manic. But usually I just wanted to know. I mean, literally, I'd already been called crazy and weird my whole life for hearing things and feeling things, and unbeknownst to me, being an empath or a medium or a channel, and not even knowing what that was. And then coming out here and saying, I read a book, You Are a Psychic, Pete Sanders Jr., MIT scientist, and lived in Sedona. And I had the book for years. And then to connect, and unbeknownst to me, reached out to Pete, you know, and intuition was popping. Like, I'm being called out 3 weeks, November. He's like, your intuition is really strong. Listen to that. And so my intuition is my strongest gift, my intuition and my feeling, or intuitive feeling, if you will. And I'm like, I want to be able to know how to increase the clairvoyance and the clairaudience, you know, the seeing and the hearing. How do I do that? And I heard, be out in nature. Be out in nature, disconnect from all the electronics and all the chaos, be out in nature, be in the stillness. What? I'm a gamer. Disconnect. You know, you must unlearn what you've learned, you know. And reconnect, as your ancestors said, be out in the land. Because think about it, so many signs out in the land, you're not really going to be seeing the ships or other phenomena indoors. You can sometimes, and it will come indoors and show itself to you. But literally, the more you're out, and I just kept taking
I like
photos.
how you're describing this, because it's like it poses almost a challenge to you. You know, you ask and it gives you an answer, and then you have a little bit of a denial, you know, like, and then you kind of follow back through with it. And I think you pointed out earlier, a lot of this is kind of surrendering to it. You know, it is happening. I think a lot of us go through the phase of you even try to stop it or ignore it. And
Yeah.
then there's the acceptance, which is still different than surrendering to it. And like, I think a lot of people talk about that process in a lot of different ways, but you're kind of pointing it out right now. And I do want to say this, like calling to Sedona, or like Chase, if he wants to jump in, you know, he experiences a little bit of that. Like, he knows when a craft is outside. He was talking about this last night, or it comes when he drives to work, you know, it's like they're outside the car. And of course, you can't pull over and take a picture and all this stuff, but it's all these little setbacks. But I do want to point out, you know, since I played our little Valet clip, I wonder if those three wise men felt that compulsion or had that intuition, you know, if they did see an orb with infant Christ and he spoke to them and said, go to Bethlehem. You know, in my imagination, it's like they probably had to convince their entire family or everybody around them. They're like, I'm going to Bethlehem, get the donkey, get the camel, you know, pack it up. I gotta go. You know, or maybe one of the three was a denier. They're like, nah, I can't run off to Bethlehem. And then everything along the place, you know, made sure he got to Bethlehem, like you said. So I find these little stories fascinating. And somebody in our audience asked in a very polite way if we have a sort of vetting system for experiencers before we start believing and sharing. And honestly, no, just to answer that question real quick, we kind of go with the flow of, we do believe everybody. We want to share these conversations. And it's not necessarily a belief in Darrell, I'm going to believe every single thing you just said. You brought up Octurians and Palladians and everything in between. You know, this is that journey that people go on, and they discover things for themselves and find truths for themselves, and they try to share what they've known. But this is also the reflective part of, you share what you know, and people can pull and take what they will. You know, it is part of the balance. And, you know, your Octurian might be somebody else's Henry, like
Yes, yes.
like, so I mean, I understand processes like that, but I think somebody just out of the blue is like, wow, they're so invested. A lot of us experiencers get that way, though. The longer we're investigating our truth, the more we sort of become sure of how it makes sense to us. So I wanted to.
Can I make a point on this? Because a lot of people will bring this up as if there's proof, like we can actually prove that something is actually real. And when you come right down to it, it may be a simulated universe where it's all a video game and we haven't got a clue what's going on. We play this game like I know, you just believe. But I think with the orb thing, like the one I have behind me here is one of Darrell's photos. And Darrell can explain this, but orb photographs to me a lot of times are like crop circles. I don't care if they're hoaxed or what happened. They're just like, wow, like it's just unreal. So Darrell, tell the story about this one behind me here. And this is actually connected to religious place and fascinating. So describe this one behind me here.
So that is in the Buddhist temple. It's a monastery in Shanghai, China. It literally my first time ever out of the country, and I was invited to document my friend's family's ceremony at the Buddhist monastery. They only select 20 families out of all the people in China to do the ceremony for. And I was invited, and the first person allowed to document any type of ceremony there, anything at all. I was the first person allowed to photograph at all there. And when I did, this was on the summer solstice of it was summer solstice 2016. The monks were inside chanting, and the group was outside, literally on the outside of the monastery, and they had these pads, and the head monk would say bison pie, which would mean bow 3 times, and literally on your knees and where your head is on your forehead is on the ground. And I'm documenting this, and while the monks are chanting and doing their mantras, and all of a sudden, bam, all the power goes out. And it's like they're still chanting and talking and everything. And I'm taking photos, and we had just done the ceremony of the offering for the ancestors, where it's literally like 10,000 bowels, for the 2 weeks that you're there doing this. And I participated in some of the bowing and documented the rest. And literally I'd never been there before, but I felt like, I knew my way around the place, even though I didn't understand any of the signs or anything, but literally I knew how to get around there. And the head monk said, he said that they had shared the premonition or vision that I was supposed to be there. And they even invited me to stay. They said they'd make me an honorary monk. And I said it's my first time out of the country, so my loved ones might be a little upset if I don't come back, But they said if you ever want to return back. And the monastery is on an island that is known. There's a massive statue of Kuan Yin on the island, and it's out in the South China Sea. I want to say it's Hainan, Hain. I may be pronouncing it, but
Hunan,
yeah, but that's and so literally I had to fly 16 hours to get to Hong Kong, and then another 6 hours to get to Shanghai, and then take a bus 6 hours, and then a boat ride to 2 hours to get to this island. And thousands of people pilgrimage there every day. And so it's phenomenal how many people are drawn to this place. And they said it's the last known place that Kuan Yin, where she ascended from, became a bodhisattva. I can't factually prove that, but that's, what they were, sharing and saying. And so it's very sacred to them, and just to be there. And it's literally the camera that I had taken with me, it died on me. So it's like, this was my spare camera. And I'm like, I don't even know, how this, the camera that I'd been using for several, months before that. And it's like, you're meant to shift to take. I'm like, okay. So I did. And literally, as you can see on the inside of there, the monks are in there doing their thing, chanting, and they got the big drums, they bang them, and they got their mantras. And literally there was so much energy They offer incense nonstop every day. Thousands and thousands of people are offering their prayers and incense, and the monks are chanting and holding space. So it was a very powerful place. And just to be able to walk around, and they, believe you me, they were not really the individuals with some of them were not into the orbs, but my friend's father, like, he knew something might show up, so he's like, let's invite him. He might be able to, capture something. And sure enough, so this is a lot of the ancestors, that were coming through. So it's like, wow, that's a lot of ancestors. And we're in China, so it makes sense. Billions.
We do we do have a question from Julie in our audience, and she would like to know, how would you advise someone to start experiencing orbs, and are yours visible to the naked eye as well?
The mine are not, I feel it, you get like the goosebumps, it's like, or like cold chill or whatnot, and there's something here, and then you all right, if there's something here, it's for the highest good. I add, if it's for the highest good and you'd like to show yourself, please, if you're not the highest good, please do not show yourself. You're not being invited, you are not welcome. And they're going to show up in the way that's most comfortable for you. If a loved one just recently passed, they can very well show up. If you're comfortable with angelic realm, Archangel Michael or Raphael or Uriel or whatnot, they may show up as a blue orb or green orb, or because they're the colors of the rainbows, which is the light rays, the blue ray, the yellow ray, the pink ray, the green ray, the violet ray. These are all frequencies, and they're tuned as well. They're higher frequencies than like the seraphim, the cherubs, the thrones, the principles, the dominion. They all have their different realms of different frequencies, different lights, So different angels, different colors. And then some are like our beloved fair babies that are crossed over, but we can still feel their presence. And I've, there's been photos where, there's the dog or the cat in the orb, are they manifest in other ways? Just being, if you're open, there's a start. And it's like, it's good to be skeptical. Look, it's super good to be healthily skeptical. Absolutely ask, all the time. Show me, and I clarify, for the highest good.
I was gonna say, I know plenty of people share. It's almost like how they approach maybe working with a planchette or a Ouija board. They want to set like intentions to bring in good things. And then a lot of times people do say they get the feeling, and it's that compulsion, and ask permission. Like you just said, can I capture you on tape, or would you like to appear to me on video? That you hear a lot of CE5ers and heisers talk about, or I just, anybody dabbling in the contact modalities, I think can kind of see how some things work, and that you do have to pay attention to your whole body being a sensor, and how things feel to you. And yeah, when you get that feeling and start trying to decipher between two feelings, I think that's when people start to identify, what that certain vibration is. And then you were speaking of colors. Grant's going to show some here, and then I'll share Chase's rainbow orb. I do know a lot of people that are describing their awakening or a Kundalini experience or these different chakras. They'll associate colors with the chakras as well. So
Daryl, can you explain that? Can you see this one on the screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to talk about this was a Sasquatch conference or something, and people were actually, you were out there shooting, and people were staging with themselves with the orbs. Like take one here, and then like they got their hands up, and you're shooting the orb photos, and you had the thing where people wouldn't get on their camera, and you'd take their camera, and you'd still get them even if they're. So explain a little bit what you're doing here.
So this is with Kevin. I was literally just Kevin had me on his radio show just the night before, and literally this was 2019, and I was was wanted to take Sue and Otter and to document what was around them, and they were unable to make the journey up there. So I asked Kevin, could you go in their stead? And literally it's as you allow yourself to call them in, and we'll share with you what shows up, what comes around. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, most people are skeptical, which is good to be skeptical, and literally as you allow yourself to call them in, and we'll I'll document what shows up around you. And so we were literally walking around leading up to the amphitheater, and everybody was like, hey, they were open, to like, they were already, talking, communing with their own guides or whatnot. But I knew that the amphitheater pathway is a portal, just straight up. And you could feel the temperature shifts and whatnot. But as we were going there, it just literally, it lit up. That's inside where, the visitors appeared above Jeff Nim.
You have the mist above there, above the window there.
Yeah, yeah, that way, and there was no smoke or anything in there, wasn't allowed. But that was, I'm looking at my camera, I'm like, is the list dirty? Like, I have my little rag wiping it down, and it's like, this is nuts. But seeing as it started to manifest, and what I've noticed is they tend to form around each other. There are times you'll have orbs and the little fairy or luminaries, together, or you'll have the big colored orbs and then the small ones, or you'll have the mist, face in the water is like, wait a minute, like looks like a face. It is like you feel like you're being watched or looked at, but we know that there are beings that are able to cloak themselves, or to phase in or out. And the picture is sideways, but it literally is like that was, you can see the shaman down there at the bottom. So these were these ancestors of the land, as well as in our lineage or whatnot that we're connected to, that, come through to interact with us, and it's like, usually the ones that they say are crazy are the ones that, they absolutely call Tesla crazy, because, holy moly, think about it. He was receiving all kinds of information, and, Henry Ford, and, the others that receive all these things that are game changing, Edison, and whatnot, these various inventors, that receive these, even, currently the Eli, the Musk, they get these things coming through them, and they're meant to be for the highest good. So that was, Black Panther down in Miami, and
it looks like he's blowing a bubble.
Yeah, he's got bubbles all over his face.
So literally asking just, for permission, to take, for things to show up. And I just ask, for the highest good. And I'm absolutely skeptical, because my goodness, when you're labeled crazy, because you hear things and see things, and it's like, that was, down in New River, that was at Bell Rock. And it's like, wait a minute, what is this? There's, is there something on my camera? And the ship was flashing, but as I'm taking pictures of the ship, this is what appeared instead of the ship.
Wow.
It's like,
zoom in on that. Oh, yeah, zoom in on that. I see all the colors of the rainbow. Well, that reminds me of the one we were looking at with Chase's from part 1 and part 3 that I haven't posted yet, since this is 2. But yeah, we wanted to overlay it and see if they matched. And wow, that's like a rainbow ribbon.
It's almost like this. Let's zoom in on this one here.
And it's like where they're emissaries, they're diplomats, if you will. They're individuals, like when Valiant Thor came from Venus to share the information, to the Eisenhower NIM, and Truman NIM, that and then of course Project Blue Book was created from that. These individuals, look, they have technology and information, and government's been working with it for quite some time with it. And then of course, like the Betty and Barney Hill and all the other people that, Travis Walton, that have had these remarkable, and that was at Shasta at a place called the Glass Mountain. It's literally a mountain of obsidian, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, but literally the side of the mountain was all lit up and it was humming, and I was like, what's going on? I took a picture of Mark, like looked like he was literally phasing out. It was like and there was a mother deer and her baby deer standing right over us, and think, wait a minute, what's going on here? Deer are usually fairly skittish, but we were having major interaction. I did not know that was during the anniversary of the harmonic convergence that we were there at Shasta. And we were there at Sand Flats and Panther Meadows, where the Grant, where y'all had those interactions. That
Yeah.
we were at those spaces, and so it literally looks like orbs everywhere. It's like, is that stars? Like there were no stars. It was pitch black outside when I took those photos, but it's just like you could feel it, And there's a spot called Saint Germain's Throne, and there's in the cabin. That's the cabin where the portal is at, where I went around to fill up my water bottle and came back and was gone.
Grant, you wrote a book on this location or your experience at this location, right? And that's where the group opened up the Zindra.
Yeah, that's where the the Mission Rama people, I guess it's considered a sacred mountain, and there's this sand flat area that's an open area about 4,000 feet up where a lot of people will gather there.
Yeah, right over to the right of that, where there's a little water spring right there. And I went over there to fill up my water bottle. When I came back around, the other 8 people I was with were gone. And it's like that couldn't be possible. There was no way that was possible. And people were like, well, how do you know you walked into a portal? You don't. Literally, it's seamless. You just literally transition right into it. And it still looks the same, but there's nobody else there. This was at West Fork, and literally the orb was coming up out of the water. People were like, it's a waterfall. There is no waterfall there. That literally is like, I told her, like, Tiger, it feels like there's something beside you, so I'm going to take a photo.
Wow.
And as we're, and literally I got goosebumps on me. This was what emerged up out of the water, and it's massive. But people, it's a waterfall. It is not a waterfall.
And when
that's a rocket orb.
Talk about things like that and that feeling of them being there, and then you take a picture. I love that picture that you and Desda were out on your field orb.
Oh, yeah. The big giant orb.
Holding your hands just perfectly.
Yeah.
And then in the picture, it's right there in her hands, or that one where she's looking up and has her hands up. And it's
well,
like,
that's what I think that's what Daryl was trying to do as well, or people would touch their hands up and try to get the
right.
orb.
But I mean, to be able to just do that in one picture, and it just amazes me.
Is this like, the same photo, Daryl, or is this a different one? Same one?
Yeah, it's the same one. I just cropped it, and this is one where like it's a waterfall. It's like, but when you see the full photo, like there was somebody else there, and this was what was beside them. It's like, wow. That's because it
I never knew that. That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. We do have a question. Hi, David. He's one of my pals. He wants to know if the flash helps or hurts. Does it hinder or help?
I've taken them with flash on and flash off at daytime and nighttime, and it's the beam is going to show itself, the way that it wants to. Usually I just use the flash because I don't know anything about the cameras. I just turn it on and put the flash on, and if you're here, I invite them to show themselves, and then I take the picture. I don't know anything about the shutter speed or anything like that. And here recently, I've been taking photos with the flash off at night and still getting some very interesting things showing up. So I say experiment with it, and try it out, and literally over the past, 11 years of just, flash on, flash off, daytime, nighttime, indoors, outdoors, in all these different locations. This is at a place called Lost River in Bowling Green, Kentucky. A lot of people don't know that, Kentucky has Mammoth Cave is there, largest cave in the world, but they don't, a lot of people don't know that Lost River Cave, which is smack dab in the heart of Bowling Green, Kentucky, it literally has 4 blue holes there. 4 blue holes, are located right there in the Lost River Cave area, and they do not know where they lead. They have no clue where they go, but they're there, and they've been there my whole life. They've been there, and limestone, water, and caves, all amplifiers. And there's a reason why so many sightings in Kentucky. A lot of people, there are a lot of sightings in Kentucky, and it's one of those spots. And this is where at the time mother of my kids was diagnosed with bone cancer, and when I flew in there, my mother and my mother's mother were all in hospital all at the same time. So I was like, holy moly. And I'm like, I need help. And I was literally calling in and praying for a miracle. And this is what started these are some of the photos of the light beings that started the show.
Yeah.
And now her cancer is in remission, and my mother was out of the hospital, her mother was out of the hospital. This was, and this is one of the photos that's in the book. And it has, the story of how, and this is also it's one of the light beings. Also, some people have felt Arcturian energy in it, and it's like there's the correlation, Archangel Arcturian. There's a connection there. These are light-bodied beings that interact with us.
Wow.
And whether it's
Darrell, let me pause you for a second there, because Grant, that reminds me of our Joe Firmage story that I was kind of joking and saying it's our orgasmic story.
Yeah.
Do you have the clips available? We could put those up of his story. Otherwise, I could just sum it up. Joe Firmage talked about an angel appearing to him, and after speaking, and he's very strong in his Mormon faith, and after he spoke with this angel that appeared to him is when he said the orb came forth from the angel and then entered him and then came back out. And he described it as being a bluish shaped orb, and he was overwhelmed with this joyous, he said it was an orgasmic feeling. So I was just wondering if your sensations are anywhere on par with that, like when you talk about being able to feel these sensations, and like this one, or you're associating with a healing presence.
Yeah.
I think Firmage was associating his most definitely with like a feeling of destiny, like he knew he had to do something, So I didn't know if you had moments like that. And wow, 3 loved ones in the hospital all at once.
Yeah. And a lot of people, when they look at this now, some that are connected with Sasquatch, they see a Sasquatch being right below the orb being, the right where the leaf is at, like you see the outline of the Sasquatch being. And then some people, they see like the interdimensional being when you look further into the orb, and you see the eyes and whatnot of it. And then some see like so it's multiple beings coming through, at the same time, because it's multidimensional, so you can have all these beings showing up at the exact same time, being there, and it's whichever ones you're open to being able to communicate with or acknowledge or see. That's the one that you're going to be able to receive the information from. And it's like Sue Walker said to me, go back and start looking at your photos, and you'll start to see other things emerging. And sure enough, I continue to see new things all the time, showing up in the photos. And it's usually when you're in need, and we're asking for prayers and miracles, and we're asking for it, that's a way that they're able to demonstrate it. And even when we don't need them, but we're just asking for signs for clarification and communication, or to see that we're on the right track or doing the right thing, or am in the right space. And then of course your body, you start to get the goosebumps with the gut feeling, or you start to see things in threes, or you get that ringing in the ear, or you get that tingling sensation on the back of your head or the top of your head, or someone else says something that you were thinking about that little guy over the photo bomb, like you get the light rays, so like the angelic presence, and then you get, like this little guy saying like, I just want to say hi, I want to be in the photo too.
He's a peeker.
And it's like, what the heck is that? And it's like, but there it is. And it's like, it's not quite an orb, but it clearly has, there's something going on there.
That's pretty cool.
So, and it's like, this is like one of the little portal spots there at the Lost River, in Bowling Green. And this literally the beings of light, and the different sacred geometries that
holy cow.
and like
what the heck?
And it's like, and even if it is lens flare, as they say,
still pretty cool. Yeah.
Lens flare, very intricate for it to be lens flare. And some of them are not the same, they are they're very different. But it's like, when the archangels show up or the angels show up, and the different, the red, the white, the blue, the yellow, the green, the purple, the pink, these, they're coming from these higher frequency realms. And I was praying, asking, for divine help and intervention, and helping my loved ones. And I was just, out there documenting, taking signs, because it's like usually when you're in when you're in your dark night of the soul is when they're like, we've been here the whole time, you know, and the moment that you're open to communicate with them or reach out, like, you know, the green orb, like, well, Raphael is using, you know, presence is green, you know, but then you start to look at it and like, wait a minute, there's a lot more going into it. And it's, yeah, you know, because then there's like different other colors, you know, in it, you know, the layered up with it, you know, so they bring these different, the light bodies, the Merkabas, the vehicles, you know, when our loved ones or something's happening with them, we tend to be highly empathic, you know, so we tend to know when something's going on with our loved ones, whether we want to or not. You know, we think of them, they reach out or they call or they text or they Facebook is like, oh, I was just thinking of you, you know, how synchronistic. Or you look at the, you know, it's 11:11 or it's 12:34, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, or hey,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
2:22.
wow. Yep.
You
1,
know?
2, 3, 4. Don't bring the numbers into it yet. That's
Yeah,
a whole nother level.
you know.
We were
So
touching on
that was Edie. That was the lady whose father took me, flew me to Florida, to China, because he saw that picture of Edie and he's like, whoa, 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 what's going on there? And I'm like, Edie, I'm being guided for us to go outside. They said, come outside. There's something to show you. And we were at my friend's house, Michelle, down in Claremont, Florida. And she said, really? And Edie was a professional photographer and model, you know, so, and she was like, I don't time for lens flare, Darrell. But she's like, wait a minute, I don't feel this is lens flare. And it's like, you know, Edie, Guan Yin energy flows very strongly through Edie, you know, but that was in Michelle's backyard. Many things showed up in Michelle's backyard, you know, and it's like, the orbs, fairies, you name it, interdimensional beings. So this is in Michelle's backyard. And this is the photo that Edie showed her father. And he's like, yeah, I would like for him to, you know, come to China and document our family's, you know, ceremony.
Wow.
And so they paid round trip, you know, for me to go, you know, to, holy moly, from Orlando. Then I got to spend a whole 72 hours in Newark, New Jersey at the airport there. That was lovely. And then a 16-hour flight, you know, in the middle seat, you know, with the infant right beside me, to get to Hong Kong. Oh, it was all awesome, because literally it's like, this is all brand new to me. And then to find my way through Hong Kong International Airport, which is massive, by the way, and not much of anything's in English. So, but I was guided through it. I mean, I made my little shuttle connect and everything. And then, you know, the 6-hour flight from Hong Kong to Shanghai, and then to get to the little, you know, spot that, yeah, Kevin and Terry, that's the natural spring up at the Panther Meadows in Shasta. And I'm like, look like the smiling Buddha. I'm like, wow, look at there. You know, but you know, it'll show signs. It's also a Shasta. And that's at Sand Flats where y'all saw the beam. And I'm like, I kept seeing a light going through the trees. I'm like, what is that? You know, there's no cities up here. There shouldn't be any lights up here.
Yeah.
And so things like this show up and all brand new, you know. Archangel Raziel, you know, the rainbow orb. It
Have
showed
you-
up as,
Yeah.
That's
Have
pretty
you
cool.
ever gone and investigated a spookier location? I mean, like, I
oh
just brought up
yeah.
Joe Firmage and Stephen
Oh, that's
Greenstreet
favorite.
just did a piece with Brandon Fugel, who had bought Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
And he had this whole like friendship with Joe Firmage at the time. And he was flying Stephen Greenstreet out to the ranch, and they were in their helicopter, or Fugel's helicopter, and they said a prayer before they entered Skinwalker Ranch. And part of that prayer, they were even asking for the safety of the helicopter so it could land and take off. So I was wondering if maybe you had ever come up on a site that you knew had like lore to it that wasn't necessarily, I mean, when you're talking about a monastery, obviously that kind of has all around good vibes, but you know, we're talking about Skinwalker Ranch and curses on the land and
Jerome,
spooky, but
the city of Jerome, which was known as the wickedest city on earth at one point in time. You know, I spent my birthday there, you know, when I literally heard when I first came for those 3 weeks that first time 11 years ago, it was like either Grand Canyon or Jerome. So I chose the Grand Canyon. So when I moved here a year later, I spent my birthday at the surgeon's house in Jerome, and highly active. You know, I really wanted to go and take pictures in the Grand, but they wouldn't allow it. You can only take pictures if you spend the night there. And I would have loved to have done that. We did take the ghost tour of the Connor Hotel, and I did have some orbs and stuff show up there. I would love to go. Waverly Hills is a spot that I would absolutely love to go and document. I mean, I'm literally from Kentucky, and it's like, who hasn't heard of Waverly Hills? You know, the sanitarium. It's one of the spots that I would love to go and document. My goodness, St. Augustine down in Florida, Otis City. I would love to go there. New Orleans. I've been down there, and I got to take some photos. And that spot, it's awesome. It's a
Feel that? Do you feel that opposite to the vibration in some locations? Do you feel
100%. Yeah, there are some.
shadow beings, I guess, because Grant, we did the whole interview with Mike Rickseckler and talked Shadow Man and the hat.
Yeah.
You know, so with a lower vibration, do you get shadow people or darker colors?
Even if you're not inviting them in, they're still there. So it's like they're there, so they're and you can feel it like when it's like, ooh, it's super cold here. Like, or you get a person like, not supposed to be here. Something does not want us here. I have absolutely had that experience. And it's like
Paranormal researchers talk about that get out feeling, or even Bigfoot researchers. It's like they know when they're not supposed to be there for sure. So
here's the smoke, which we found. After you look at enough orbs, like people ask the question about how do you know? Well, you start getting these patterns that people start reporting this mist stuff, and Darrell has them, and most people who have thousands of photographs, when you ask them, have you got this mist stuff? Oh yeah, I got that stuff. And so it'll appear, and then comes the beams, so this is a really good photo of the mist stuff that sort of appears in these orb photographs. It's not just orbs, it's mist, it's beams. And now we're starting to get these horizontal beams. We had the first horizontal beam I've ever seen. So it's almost like they're changing the pattern as they go along.
A lot of them now that I've recently photographed, they don't even, their shape is so abnormal that you're like, what am I looking at? And literally I was asking for signs from my grandmother who had recently passed last year on my mother's birthday. And it was, I heard, grab the camera and come outside. So I did. And what it's like, it's orbs and multicolored orbs. And then there's something else that's there. And it's literally one of my favorite photos now, because it's like, there's so much going on. Oh, there she is. Yeah. So she's so far up, literally her antenna is chopped off. I'm unable to print it out because except for on canvas, it wraps her over. So, because she's so far up there, and it's like, dad nabbit, the little is like, she's so, and so literally when you print her out, you just get like the legs, and people are like, what's that? But this is the best, looking.
This reminds me of that one Chase. Is Chase awake? He was up for 12 hours working double shifts. He might have fallen asleep on us. Chase has this, like, it almost looks tentacly. It has these like 4 feet in the bottom, like, and there's 3 of them, like. So,
that's what I'm saying about these photographs. Whatever you think about them, they're absolutely fascinating to look at. It's like, oh, let's look at the next one. They're like crop circles. They're bizarre. And then maybe this is what I call the theory of wow, that they just want you to go, wow. I mean, look at the one this one that Darrell got. And it's just wild photos. I mean, just incredible.
It's funny because the ones I was trying to choose for the photo book, my friend who's helping me edit it, she's like, there's so much going on and it just looks like snow, Darrell. So they're not gonna particularly, we're like, what the heck is this? And it's like, but it's, we're literally at the portal spots at Bell Rock and Airport Mesa, and this is just what's coming through.
Yeah.
She's like, but it's so thick that most people just wouldn't even have an idea of what, like it's just a bunch of snow or dust. I'm like, but it's not. She goes, I know. So I'm like, okay. So I just try to put a variety in there, because it's like, it's just, how they show up,
Are you going to show some of Chase's now?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to Chase.
Okay.
I'm still having,
You should have just some folders here. You need your son to help you here to get this all.
You
arranged.
know, I tried to delete and organize my laptop and I
Yeah.
destroyed everything that I had. saved.
Another year, your son will be able to help you. We still need to do a video of your son with his 3D glasses on, building stuff. I want to get that on before he gets older.
He's gonna have him here this weekend. So
There you go. Well, let's tape him. Here's the egg one. This is the egg video, the orb.
I gotta
We
get
got
to
names
it,
for all these orbs. This is the egg orb.
right
Sure enough.
here. That's how I gotta do
And the
it.
colors, let me ask while we're going, Darrell, what do you say for colors? Like if you're familiar with the Skinwalker book that was put out by the Pentagon guy and George Knapp and stuff, they talk about the blue meanies. Have you had experience with blue orbs, and is there any relationship to the colors? Look at this one, Darrell. I mean, just love this. This is like it looks like it's alive, like it's a cell. It's just, this is my favorite.
Yeah. That looks like nuclear fission on a sun or something. I have not had.
Close. You see like green and purple and a blue
Yeah.
shade, and then
And the
that.
texture, it's just the texture of it. It's just wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
So what about blue orbs, Darrell? I mean, do you buy this thing that they may be mean orbs, or is there any relationship to the color of orbs as to who they are or what they are?
For me, blue represents, the Archangel Michael. So
Okay.
whenever blue orbs show up for me, I've always held them in the highest regard of protection,
Wow.
courage, strength. And literally usually like that's Michael, you just know. And usually the individuals that that link, when they're sharing with us, like come outside, like when the Michael's like, there's, I have something to show you, or Gabriel, Raphael, it shows up as green or blue, or whatnot, or a mixture of them, and it's like they're all there. But I haven't had any bad experiences with them. I don't particularly go looking for that. And usually if the orbs that don't particularly want to be photographed, they're almost colorless,
Yeah.
like literally like black. Almost like you may see like the outline or something, but it's like not really a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And it's different for everybody. There's a book, Diana Cooper's Ascension Through Orbs, and it she channeled the chronicle what she looking. A lot of the same ones as hers, a lot of the same ones that show up, for me. And it's like, Raziel shows up as the rainbow one. And that showed up in my backyard in Sedona. Then it showed up, in Shasta.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, different place, different space, but there it was. And
That's what Chase was saying about this one, I believe, and we kind of called it the moon.
The moon, the moon orb, yeah.
Yeah, that's no moon. Yeah, that is very whoa.
That was it, sort of fading before it had.
Look at that face. Yep. So they're clearly communicating with him. And I'm not surprised at all. Like literally when attempting to be able to share the experiences, like, the communication videos, like we've experienced it. It's like literally everything, like, nope.
Have you gotten anything like this with the multiple colors, like this kind of thing with the?
Yeah.
You have gotten this. Wow.
Yeah. Some of my most recent stuff literally is it's.
Yeah, this is wild to me. Like,
wow.
And if it's a camera effect or something, I just want to know how it's done. I'll take all the crappy photos in the world and frame them. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just part of it. Like to me, that's like staring at one of the mandalas arts that, sacred geometry. To me, I'm like, whoa, there's a blob in there that I could get lost in. Like, that's just amazing. Yeah.
I know that the night that Clifford had passed, I was in Silver City, and I heard, grab your camera and come outside because there's a show going on.
Wow.
And so I went outside, and there was this tree, like a portal tree. And when I took the photo, there's these two orbs and this other anomaly there. And I sent it to Sue Walker, and she enhanced it. And you could clearly see the being's face, in the orb looking at the other. So it's some of the things that have really showed up lately have been quite Quite interesting.
Wow.
One or I call it the UFO orb because it looks like there's some distortions going on in it. Hello, look at there.
Yeah, this was the one I said looked like your rainbow ribbon.
Yeah.
And it does, it's almost like it, oh, dang it. I'm not good with this thing yet, but this one looks like it has distortion within it to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so crazy. And this is the one we thought if you like overlaid each little ribbon, they would almost match.
Yeah.
So it's like, are we seeing how many reflections are we seeing there? 4 orbs making trails. I love it.
Yeah, that definitely looks and the one down looks like 2 eyes looking back with like a little nose.
Oh yeah.
Staring right at you. It's like we see you.
Now, Chase shared a video with us to the group last night, and I was teasing him because he's like, every time I leave to go to work, this thing shows up in the sky. And then he stopped at like the Quickie Mart and came out, and it was also in the sky. And it did look very similar to this. It's like you could see pinpoints of light and just like this glow in the sky, but it was off in the distance. And, you know, this is definitely a buddy of his. Like,
Wow.
I just think it's beautiful.
Chase,
So
are you
true.
there?
I saw he unmuted himself.
Oh.
But then, yeah, and see this one, he's got a beam in it, Grant. See it right there toward the bottom?
No, open it.
There's his pretty one that comes like the moon, and then there's the beam.
I can sort of see something there, but I can't see.
It's real faint. Or else it's dirt on my screen. That's right there, just real faint. But
I
it
can see
also
a sort of a
like,
line I can see.
it looks like a bunch of little tiny dots
Oh, yeah.
in a line.
Yeah.
Here, I want to find the weird tentacle ones because that one just blew my mind.
Hello.
Yeah, he's got a mess of one here that's like misty and orbs.
Oh. Chase has lost his sound, so
He's communicating through me. I can
there you go. Okay.
talk about this so many times. This one I like.
Hey, yep.
It's like it's going in a horseshoe circle or something, which keeps popping to my mind. These commercial pilots are making all these reports right now, and Ben Hansen,
yeah.
and Christopher Sharp from Liberation Times has even reported on it over the last couple of days. These racetrack UFOs, and it'll be 2 or 3 or more orbs, and they're doing like this racetrack pattern in the sky and circling. And that's what this reminds me of, a mini version of that.
And let me ask you related to that, because to me, when I see that, I mean, they mentioned the orbs that come so close to the planes. And to me, I always like as soon as that comes in my head, it's like Zogar says, the other one, see how close, let's see, I bet you can get closer to the plane than you can. And they're like, why are they doing it? Why are they doing this racetrack thing? Why are they dropping from 80,000 feet down to sea level? And it's like they're showing off. And that's what I sort of, would you agree that they just want to look at this and these streaks across the sky where it's like a 1/10 of a second frame, and it's like goes all these lines all over the sky, and it's like, wow.
Can you hear me?
I see. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but we can hear you. Yeah.
Here's our 3 in 3 different colors.
Yeah, here they're making a triangle. Why are they making a triangle? That's
They're always making triangle.
Well, our friend Jimmy would, draw
measure it
lines.
out and tell you what the triangle means. Yeah.
He could tell you exactly what
All the
kind of-
mathematics of it. Yeah.
I think those are beautiful. Darrell, they do remind me of some that I've seen of yours, where they almost look like they're flat, but they have multiple rings on the inside of them. And
Yeah.
you have beautiful stills. And our friend Janet shared some that hers came the same day she became a grandma. Like she walked outside, took these pictures, and there's like hundreds of these little tiny blue, beautiful circles within circles. And to me, becoming a grandma is like the ultimate happiness, right? So that's
Yeah.
what I was like, the blue ones mean baby happiness. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I-
The joy,
Someone
and joy.
about like if you see with the eye or if it's just with the camera. So, like, I would say I have 50 of that. A lot of stuff I actually do see like the 4 dots that has like the snakes or whatever you want to call them.
I can't understand
Ribbons. Oh, okay.
Ray robot voice, but hang in there. Here is the octopus fairy. That's what I'm calling it in my head.
Hello. Okay. Look there.
Right? I
Yeah.
like this one because if people are going to give the bug defense, where's the wing? That's, you know what I mean? Like, where are the wings at? If
And
it's
that's no insect. There's no insect that looks like that. No insect looks like that.
and this one just, I don't know what to even call it.
Those are interdimensional anomalies, you know, because they're not quite orbs. But I get stuff like that shows up and I'm like, what is this? But they're those multi-interdimensional beings that, you know, the kind of like Mixoplex, like
They remind
what?
me of ballerina legs when they do those pretty ballerina jumps and their long leg goes behind them. That's I want to say this to the music from Fantasia.
I
Here's his little one in the sky that keeps coming to him. This is like his night rider. It like shows up when he's driving to work at night. There it is.
Yeah, they're watching him. So it would not surprise me if Trace, if some of your loved ones have also had interactions with them.
Here's this crazy one.
Oh, yep. Wow, it almost looks like he's got his beanie on. He's got a smile, a little smirk. Yeah.
This is just wild how it's almost like layered. You know, you see all these rings and rings and how it's obviously coming forward, I guess, or like that. But oh, that, yeah, I don't know. To me, like you jump in the top and slide down that. Like, what's going on? What do they say about making wormholes? They can make one, but they're just really super duper tiny, you know?
Yeah. Or like Slinky. You're probably too young for Slinky. Do you know what a Slinky is?
They make crappy slinkies now. They make them plastic to where they don't have enough weight to flop down the steps. Because
It
yeah,
looks like a Slinky.
William wants to reverse engineer every slinky he comes across. He's like, this just isn't cutting it. It's not like coiling up his own wire. He's like, look what I invented. I'm like, that's a slinky.
Yo.
This one, yeah, he's just bright. Like, I mean, oh, and we came to the end. So I know Chase has left and come back and left and come back and tried to join.
That's too bad.
I know. We'll get him on our next group chat. He'll just we said it at the beginning. It's the vibration.
Maybe late in the evening where there's not so much traffic on the internet.
That could, you know, it's the vibration. He's messaging and he says he's sorry. We're sorry too.
Okay.
You got to keep doing your thing and keep reporting into the Orbis group because yeah, we've made it official.
He's right on path. He's very much on path. Continue to listen and trust his intuition, and continue to allow himself to ask the questions and to be skeptical and to continue ask for sign. And they will continue to show I mean, he's in the rabbit hole now, you know, and there's, you know, the barrel, so there's multiple tunnels to go through. And so literally, Chase, I can assure you, it will only continue to grow stronger from here. And this just confirms, usually when there's the electronic interference, you know, it means you get something really, really good to share. And so there will be a redo once again. So it's just confirmation. The planets are not too crazy today. Yesterday there was 3 squares, you know, so there's still a lot of integration, and we are in between eclipses, which you know they use that.
We're
I
of Halloween and All Saints Day, and
I do have a very I would love to show you these
Sure,
photos.
sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you want to take over the screen now. It's all your.
Okay. So these are, let's see here, share screen. Sedona, boom. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is the this is one of them. That showed up in my backyard. This is one of those individuals, and you can see the orbs around it.
Oh, click on it again. It's still small for us, like a thumb.
Yeah, we just got the thumbnail.
Uh-oh, well, that's not good. How do I do that?
The Mac's always, is this way a Mac again? No.
No. Damn it.
It's just different for every single one of us.
Yeah, it should.
Technology.
If you click on the photo, it should.
Right. It's not. Nope. Nope. No,
That's
I'm
weird. It's weird that you can see it on your screen, but we can't see it here. We just still have
Yeah.
the thumbnails.
Maybe refresh it, like stop the screen share and start it again. Because yeah, I can't even see your mouse moving now. You see, we were talking about
See,
it.
you had something good to share, and they heard you. So let's mess it up for them. I was like, you heard the story about my PowerPoint in Laughlin, Nevada, where they flipped the PowerPoint slides and doubled them and tripled them and squished them and pulled them, and I went to get it. I told the guy, I said, I know what to do. I didn't do this. There's no way I did this, and I'll go reload it in the hotel room. And then I went past Paula Harris and she said, "Are you coming for dinner at the Italian restaurant?" I said, "No, Paul, I got to redo my PowerPoint." And she says, "You know what happened?" I said, "No, Paul, nothing like that happened." Went back to my room and it's perfectly normal on my PowerPoint on the desktop. So then I reloaded it onto the thumb drive and I cleaned everything off the thumb drive, went back up, same thing again. And then I said, "Okay, just take all the double ones and I'll do it." But it was, I couldn't believe that it's impossible what they did, but they flipped those slides up, sideways, and just unbelievable.
You shared a couple slides of those and something we did.
That
Grant.
was just
It
wild.
was wild. Like
I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe anybody could do that. I said, "There's no way they did this." When I went back, it's like, oh, holy cow. And it must have been a 190 slide presentation. It was probably 50 slides were doubled, tripled, squished, pulled. It's like unbelievable.
well, that was like my second sighting, or that sighting I had 2 years ago, where I had my tablet recording. And then when I went to check that footage, it was just skipping. It was like, as soon as I hit play, the whole video was just going, and I was like, of course. That's the one where I had like the panoramic shot, and then I had my other camera up in the sky watching it. So it would have been nice to have 2 of the same thing, but nope.
Maybe open it on your desktop first, Daryl, and then share screen. See if that works.
We go through all the motions. Daryl, you might just have to come back for the next one. I was trying to round up everybody.
Daryl's stuff is like the Chase said, he deserves his own show. I mean, it is. Daryl's stuff is like, you've only seen like what I showed there is like 1/1000th of the material he's got. It's just unbelievable. How many photos do you think you've taken, Daryl? Well, you're muted.
Unmute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The thousands. I've literally taken thousands. Is this not doing? Is it still not doing?
No, it's still got just, and it's
I think that's the sign. We just have to do another part.
There you go.
Weekend or next week. We
I-
said it. We're the ones doing it, so we got to
yeah,
keep.
I'll email them to y'all so y'all can see them, and that way you'll have them and be able to share because
Wow.
they're the
Yeah, one of us will be able to share it. Yeah. Wow. Fantastic. So when's your book coming? Tell us a little bit about your book before we close here, and where it's coming out, and maybe we can help you promote the book here.
Yes. So the book has been published through Balboa Press, which is part of Hay House, and I just submitted it to them. So it's now going through the process of, make sure everything is like, they're all my photos. Their DPI is all 300 and everything. So hopefully they'll be able to, I'd love for it to be out before the holidays. So that it feels like that could very well happen. It's going to have the photos, are like the ones we've shown here, the orbs, the angels, the fae, and signs of spirit around us, so like the other anomalies and things that show up, the rainbow orbs and whatnot. And it's literally going to share the messages that I receive, literally on my journey of being here, and who was communicating with me from the angelic realm, or the nature spirits, or the animal totems. And for those that want to be able to connect with them, it allows you to be able to just the photos are activators, so that's you're able to look at it. And for those that always wanted to see, is like, well, what does it look like, it's like, I just like, I would love to be able to have enough fairy photos to make a fairy book. And I will be out in nature more, so the more I was out there taking photos and asking them to show themselves, I have quite, there's, quite a nice, collection of what it showed, big ones, small ones, singing in a group, individual, daytime, nighttime, the luminescent blue. So they literally all different, shapes and colors, and it's just a planner, a little bit of everything, that to show. And then the other books from there will, there's an orb book that literally dives into, literally all the various types of orbs and how they interact.
Wow.
And then there's an angel and light book. I mean, there's so many photos that, and they're just basically like, hey, these are the messages they're wanting to share and convey. So, and it's whoever's comfortable with it, so for us that are, orb enthusiasts, that book will have, the activations, and, the stories. And then of course, for those, like, I got quite a few, UFO, photos that have showed up at Bell Rock and Airport Mason and Shasta. So include those in it. So UFOs and orbs, and then
What's the name of the book?
The name of the book is Angels, Fairies, and Orbs and Signs from Spirit. May tweak that a bit, but right now, Angels, Fairies, and Orbs for sure. And it's will be, primarily from the photos taken here in Sedona, Mount Shasta, and the places I was called to in Kentucky and Florida, and New Mexico, Roswell, and whatnot. So I'll include,
Well, I'm sure maybe they blocked you because now people have got a taste of what kind of photos you take, and you're going to sell more books. If you showed all the photos, they wouldn't buy the book.
It's just
Preview.
it's true. There's a story to every photo that I've ever taken. Just literally always asking for a sign. Well, how many signs can there be? Well, there a whole lot. Particularly on. And are we listening? Because the moment you start listening and then you're hearing, what, and you're taking action on it, everything shifts and changes. And this is where first they said they didn't exist. It wasn't real. Now there's disclosure. It's real. It exists. Oh, kind of gives us a bit more credence, that
You're coming up on your 11-year anniversary on this. Like, when you started, did you even think that you'd be at it a decade? Or were you like, oh, I'm going to do this little project and it'll be over? It has become a lifestyle for you, I would say. Into what you do.
Literally trusting my intuition, the stronger, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. It was already my strongest gift to begin with before I even understood, what being an empath or being sensitive or, channeling or mediumship or any of that was. And now, wow, years later, like I arrived here, November 5th of 2011. and boom, 11 years later, like on Saturday, 11 years. So it's been remarkable, that I knew that there were things out there that existed that people said didn't exist. And I'm like, just show me. I just need you to show me. Because what I saw it at 10, because at 10, we're still innocent. So we're still seeing it. And that's not what you're seeing. Shut that down. Don't talk about that. But then it's like, damn it, I may be called crazy, but I know what I saw. I know I saw what I saw. And coming here, they just put on the show. And they put on the, to be able to share.
This a lot, and we've probably asked you before, even if you could change it and have it stop, would you, or would you continue on with it?
It's literally, there are those that this was my purpose and path. If it's meant to be a way show or to help others to connect with things that people say that's not real, that doesn't exist, but these are beings that have interacted with us for millennia, or even longer. We're just fulfilling our roles. It takes great courage to be able to put ourselves out here. I mean, my goodness, we're skeptical on ourselves enough. So when you get the other skeptics, and it's like, are they doing it? Are they going out there? I mean, we're like, go experience it, test it. We did, and literally, I mean, my goodness, I have a long history. I'm like, you're crazy in a loon.
I think that goes with part of the surrendering to it, or just even accepting that it's happening. There is an element where we talk about raising your vibration and being happy. But a part of what goes with that is you do have to kind of get over that you're going to be a little stupid with this. It's going to be silly. It's going to, be embarrassing to you to some extent. But that's part of the ego lesson with all of it too. Like, it's just, you do have to kind of follow that intuition and let go of your inhibitions. So
the veil is super thin here in Sedona. So, and it's super thin at Shasta, so when you go to these places, where people are doing retreats or meditations or wanting to connect with their guides or higher self, why are they not surprised if they're receiving that? It's literally, the veil is uber thin here. And it's like, and it's we're in holiday season now. Literally, once Halloween hits, 61 days left in the year, 2 months and a day. And all the most powerful stuff gets triggered up. You have the elections, you have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. You have work obligations, family obligations, and partner obligations. Everything is all condensed at the last part of the year. And then you have a solstice, winter solstice rolling in. So it's potent, and this is literally the next up. We got another eclipse, lunar eclipse, full moon.
the season.
Powerful time of change happening. And so it's like, make a wish, put it out there. If you want to connect, now's the time. Veil is thin, and just be mindful of what you're asking for. I would love to see him, and then they show up. Oh, 3:33 in the morning. No, I don't want to see you. But it's like, so just be clear with them. If you ever seen the movie Ghost, where Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, how he just wanted to be able to connect with her, but her heart was still closed off. She was still grieving too much. But the moment that she was able to open up her heart, oh my goodness, then we were treated with that lovely, clay pottery scene. And
I was reminded of that earlier when it was the scene where all of them are appearing to Whoopi, and they're sitting there and she's like, who's that here? And it's like she runs away from them, like she doesn't want to deal with them. She locks herself in the closet, and they're like,
like, nope, it's happening.
Movie. It really is. It brings up these themes. But I really think this was a beautiful discussion today, and I know we'll continue it. That's the whole point of our discussion group. And we have people in different time zones that we've been trying to get. So I know we're going to have to do one late at night so we can incorporate the UK and Australia down under. So this
for
is
sure.
Great. We'll do orbs all around the world.
And just to let people know, Tress, I don't know if people have seen Tress's collection. I don't think she's really shown much of it, but her stuff is maybe not, well, it's maybe on Darrell's level, but she's got a massive collection. So don't miss, if we're going to have Tress on from Scotland, you got to see her stuff. It's just incredible. Just
she's awesome.
The group is Echo Whispers. You can
Echo Whispers. Yeah,
she shares a lot on that group and has discussions there as well. So All right. Thank
Okay.
you, everybody. Chase, even though I know you're there, we can feel you there. The vibration is high.
We'll get it together, Chase. Don't worry. We're
Chase
gonna
will
get it
join
together.
us again. And Darrell, thank you so much.
Beautiful.
And Grant, we'll just keep these going. I'll
Thanks
talk
for setting it up. It's beautiful. Let's keep going. We'll invite some of the other people out from your neck of the woods there that we've maybe forgotten that were on some of the earlier orb panels, and we'll bring them
Yeah,
on and see what they got. It's
we'll
new
bring
stuff.
them. I know I have some of my Wisconsin friends that,
Yep,
CE5
okay.
and ice, and we'll get some of them in here too. But
Thanks for setting it
thank
up.
you, everybody in YouTube. And I did want to say thank you to anybody who has been sending me super chats and PayPal. Every little bit is exciting to me because I'm like, oh my God, people are supporting what I do. So I
Right
did
on.
want to say
Beautiful.
thank you to our YouTube audience that tuned in, and we will get some more content up soon. Thank you so much,
Beautiful.
everybody.
Okay.
Have a wonderful, beautiful day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.